We are now moving to our next session, to a panel discussion around seed as power. As announced, this rally is held to celebrate and honor our seed keepers, our savers, our farmers, and our peasants, and their indigenous ways of being, the indigenous knowledge that they have held and passed on from generation to generation. We are holding this rally, bringing to you the voices of the farmers in an act of resistance and solidarity. This segment will develop into the existing, emerging, and increasing threats to our seeds. Through this discussion, we will hear directly from the ground the current state of affairs and how it does not only impact our food, but everything to do with our livelihood and the livelihoods of those who depend on our seed, well beyond our villages, our countries, and our continent. Please join Amara Woods at Africans Rising, who will ask more questions about this. Amara, over to you.
Welcome, everyone. What an honor to be with you all today. We thank the ancestors for making this day possible, for giving the vision to all those who have come to lift up the voices of farmers, the voices of peasants, the voices of those who have protected the seed. So what a fitting start. We thank our weaver. We thank our sister from the Gullah Geechee community for grounding us. We also acknowledge that we are in a difficult moment as a human family, particularly as Pan-Africanists. We know that the COVID pandemic is devastating our communities, and we give honor to all who are sick and all who have lost their lives. We thank you all for carving out time to lift up this issue, to be with us today. So family, it is with great honor that I introduce a panel that many of you know from their decades of experience and commitment to these critical issues. We are joined across the human family, from the continent to the diaspora, and we will begin just by hearing from them, giving space so that we can understand these vital seeds that we need for our survival, for our health, for our well-being, for our future generations, are under threat. This panel, Seed as Power, is really focused on what's the reality? How did we get here? And what does the future look like? So we will begin. Let me just share. We've got phenomenal leaders that will share with us today. Patrice Sagbo from Benin will be here with us. You will hear directly from Patrice. David Otieno from the Kenyan Peasants League is here. Our sister Mary, many of us were hoping she would be here. She is one of those that are, as we speak, fighting the battle with COVID, and we just wish her well, and we send her blessings. She will not be with us today, but her spirit, her energies, her work will be here. Susan Nakagwe from Benin, as well as Alan Kocho. We will hear from the DRC, from Benin, from throughout the continent and the diaspora to understand fully this moment that we're in and why we need to rally, why we need to organize our energies, link our voices, link our forces together to protect the seeds. So please, let us begin with Susan. Share with us your lens. What are the threats? What are the challenges? What are farmers and communities facing around this planet? Share with us the reality from your lens, please.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon to you. I'm coming to you from Uganda. My name is Susan Nakachwa, and it's such an honor to be here and to be the first person to speak about the seed sector and seed systems on the continent. And I work with grain, and we are very passionate about issues around seed, and especially if it involves smallholder farmers. just to paint a picture of the African continent and the importance of agriculture, in that all our official documents, at least on the continent, speak about the importance of the agricultural sector and how it is the backbone of so many of our economies and how we should protect it. Do the laws help us to do that? I think that's what I'm here to talk about, and also to find out. One of the most important facts of the agricultural sector is the ability to have seed. And if anybody owns your seed, they own you. And our seeds have very great attributes because they are unique, they can be saved, they can be multiplied, they are diverse, and they can be shared from generation to generation. And this is something that we all know and are passionate about because we love our seeds, we love the people who produce them, and we love the fact that we can keep them at home and still use them for generations to come, but also within the different sectors. It's also very important that we, since time immemorial, have been able to share our seeds freely without any hindrances on who you give it to, which borders it crosses, and how you share them with others and how you keep them for the next planting season. These characteristics of seeds being able to be multiplied, they can be saved, they can be used in different contexts, and they can also change themselves depending on the context that they're in, are things which people who want to profit do not want. And the fundamental characteristics that I spoke about prevent corporations from profiting from them, yet they would like to profit from them. They want to prevent farmers from being able to replant, to share, and to do all the things that we do with our seeds. So what do? They can limit us through genetics. And in genetics, we talk about the hybrids, we talk about the GMOs, and we talk about all the different ways of trying to tinker with seeds so that we don't have the ability to multiply them. Seed companies have been able to develop hybrids, but they haven't been able to develop all of them. And therefore, we find that there's only maize, I think, which they have successfully sort of played around with, but the other seeds they have failed to play around with. So they go to option 2, which is implementing seed laws and trying to bring up seed laws that will help them to control the seed sector. And the laws that we see within the seed sector prohibit us to save. They prohibit us to adapt to new varieties. And therefore, they are laws that are essentially intellectual property rights laws, and they're all about commodification of seeds and ultimately destroying farmer-managed seed systems, which we know on the continent, and also destroying the foundational systems and the processes that farmers have always relied on. Of course, there's a history to this, and there's a place where this comes from, and it comes from the World Trade Organization, which came into effect in 1995. But prior to that, there had been discussions around the trade-related intellectual property rights, which in short they call TRIPS, which is the first agreement.
Apology. I am sorry to interject. Could I just ask you to speak a little slower?
Okay.
Because the interpreters are unable to catch everything you are saying. Thank you so much. This is most important information and we need it transmitted as much as possible. Thank you so much. Very grateful.
Okay, so sorry about that. I speak really fast, so somebody please slow me down if you have to. So the World Trade Organization is the basis for all the seed laws that we are seeing today. And it is the basis for the legalization of all trade intellectual property rights that we hear about. The trade-related intellectual property rights came into existence in 1994. They are the basis for the first global trade agreement, which set international norms for private intellectual property rights over seeds. And it was also the first treaty, that is the TRIPS treaty that I'm talking about, was the first treaty to impose global standards on intellectual property or legal ownership of plants, animals, and microorganisms. And the aim is to ensure that companies who are the big breeders of seed can make profits, and also recoup from their investments. Now, we could have stopped there at the point of the trade-related intellectual property rights, but we complicated things further by bringing in free trade agreements. So within free trade agreements, we are talking about the economic partnership agreements, which are being negotiated in our different regional economic communities across the continent, which are further pushing for the countries from the north to get what they were not able to get under TRIPS, or the trade-related intellectual property rights. And within that, under TRIPS, our countries and under TRIPS within the WTO, all WTO members are supposed to have some form of plant variety protection laws within their national environments. Again, I said we could have stopped at the point of the WTO and the plant variety protection at that point, because African countries were able, could sort of refuse to do anything beyond what they could do within their. So within TRIPS, individual member states and countries were allowed to design their own seed laws, and the flexibilities there would allow for African countries not to implement the provisions of the agreement. But there is an exemption to this, and the exemption expires on 1st July 2021, so that's in a few days, where we could have stayed with the WTO TRIPS agreements. But we added on the TRIPS and then just confused matters around seeds completely. So what are plant variety protection laws? They are basically intellectual property rules, and they're also known as plant breeders' rights. So they are designed to establish and protect monopoly rights to plant breeders over varieties that they have developed. It is an offshoot of the patent system that aims to transfer the control of seeds from smallholder farmers to multinationals and to governments. And how do they do this? They do this by creating harmonized regional variety protection systems that favor corporate seed producers.
We could listen to you for a full. I encourage everybody to please go to Grain's website, follow Susan on Twitter, stay engaged in this issue. Clearly, it has global repercussions and implications. And Susan, thank you for setting the table, for helping us understand the gravity of how multinational corporations and laws are being really stacked against farmers and those who are protecting the seed. I want us to shift to a specific country, to Kenya, where we can hear from David. From your vantage point, how are you seeing these threats and challenges, and what is the response that's being mounted by the Kenyan Peasants Association? David, we turn to you, please.
Hi, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
We hear you well. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, I want to thank my longtime comrade, Susan, for taking us through the first session. And I agree with her that we are actually, this rally is coming at the right time, because it is time that the movement together so that we can challenge this onslaught. And I want to speak briefly about the regional harmonization process that is actually now taking place, I mean, in the African Union level. And you find that if you look clearly.
So David, we're having
is driven by trade.
Perhaps turn off your video. It may have a clearer.
Okay, sorry.
Thank you.
Now you can hear me well? Hello? Yes, so I don't know, can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, what I'm saying is that the process for developing guidelines for the harmonization of African seed laws is actually driven by trade, and it is being pushed by the seed industries or the seed companies that want to control the seed sector in Africa. And if you look at what they're proposing, actually, some of the standards they are placing, which include distinctness, uniformity, and stability, actually locks down the peasant seed systems in Africa. Because you find that when we talk about the peasant seed systems, and as we have rightfully seen in the video, you find that these are seeds that have been passed from generation to generation. And when we talk about the seed systems in Africa, we talk about populations of seeds. So we talk about the bundle of rights of farmers. And you find that such processes that are leading to harmonization basically seek to criminalize, the peasant seed systems. Just 2 days ago in Kenya, we had very bad news that Kenya actually ratified the use of GM cassava, which is also very bad news to the seed systems in Kenya. And very soon we are seeing open trials of GM maize. So you find that all these are actually about criminalizing the peasant seed systems. And who is funding such processes? You find that the process of harmonization of developing the guidelines started in March this year, 2021. And just yesterday or 2 days ago, we received a progressive report. And the facilitator is saying that they want to conclude this process by July. So you wonder the rush. We're in the middle of COVID pandemic. The participation of farmers in this process has been very limited. So you find that, to me, what I would say is that this seed rally is coming at a very opportune time, and all of us in this African region or in the global south or everywhere I come from the globe, those ones who are actually value the peasant seed systems, we need to come out and speak for the peasant seed systems. What we need to do again is to ensure that we continue saving our seeds, we continue producing using indigenous means, we continue expanding our farms. Just like the lady was speaking in the video said, that it is important to continue growing these seeds, to continue multiplying them. It doesn't matter whether they kill, whether they come with laws that are criminalizing these processes. All of that we need to do is to ensure that as farmers or as the peasants and even as the consumers, we keep on promoting the seed systems that are actually geared towards ensuring that our seed systems, or the peasant seed systems, are protected and are live for the posterity. Maybe finally, what I would say finally is that it's a call for action. And the first step is the genesis of a good law lies in disobeying an existing bad one. And what we need to do as peasant farmers and as consumers is to defy and to ignore such processes that alienate farmers or alienate consumers or alienate the grassroots people from the processes. We have a right to participate, and let us participate. Let us challenge these things in courts. Let us develop our own laws and take them to parliament to ensure that we protect our seed systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David, for that powerful call to action. Protect our seed systems, change the laws where need be, change members of parliament where need be, to make sure that we protect our people, protect our land, protect our seeds. Thank you so much. We next go to the DR Congo, to Alain Couchot, who will also share with us how he sees especially these legal threats, and what farmers need to do to actually make sure that they are fighting back to protect livelihoods and to protect lives. So Alain, we turn to you, please. And we remind everyone we have translators, so please speak slowly enough for the translators to be able to carry forward your to others. Okay, it looks like we may be having difficulty getting Alain to come. David, again, you have put us on the right track. We will come back to the DR Congo, but before then, if we can, we want to go to see if Patrice has anything to offer in terms of, from the perspectives of Benin, what do you see as being sort of these legal challenges, how those legal challenges are being met, and what recommendations you have from farmers' organizations? Are you hearing us? Okay, well, we will come back perhaps while we sort out these other participants. Susan, is there more you would like to share with us? I feel like we cut you off at the beginning and there was so much you wanted to share as you were setting the table. But can you talk to us now about solutions, calls to action, more of this what we can do piece that David has gotten us started on? Susan?
I think that the passion and topic around seed is really critical, but there is so much that we can work together as a continent to do to ensure that we protect our seed diversity. Number one, the African Union is trying to have a harmonization process going on. And I think it was a document that was shared by the, it was shared within AFSA around what people can contribute to the process. And I think we need to speak in these spaces to be able to talk about, to put on the table the seed sector that we desire on the continent. Most importantly, we need to speak about the importance of smallholder farmers, celebrate them, celebrate what they do, and celebrate the seed sector, and also talk more about the seeds that are on the continent, which at the moment we are not talking as loudly as we should, because the protection of our seeds and seed varieties is important in that way. We should link the discussion around seeds to the different sectors of the economy and different sectors of development. So when we talk about the climate crisis, we don't talk about seed, yet the seed sector could answer a lot of questions around the climate crisis that we find ourselves in. When we talk about land grabs, that is seed that we are losing. When we talk about the corporations coming into the continent and taking away from us, that is the seed sector that is being attacked. So every single conversation that we have, we need to talk about the seed sector. But the seed laws also need to be very grounded within what we desire in our countries and in our context. At the moment, we have so many regimens of harmonization and also legislation that are happening. For example, at the East African level, we have the harmonization of the East African Bill 2018, which is very problematic because it's not talking about it is basically using UPOV 91 requirements to be able to put the law into place. Just an example that the East African community is at different levels of implementing UPOV. So for example, Uganda is implementing UPOV 1978, and Kenya is implementing 1991, Tanzania is implementing 1991, and it's a confusion of different legislations that we are seeing on the continent. South Africa is implementing 78, and the Francophone part of Africa is implementing parts of 91 and parts of 78. So it's a confusing state of affairs, and we need to be able to have a legislative process that not only protects smallholder farmers, but also speaks with one voice and speaks for the existence of the seed sector and the protection of all the people who contribute to it. So for example, the youth, the women, the policymakers, all of that.
Thank you so much. We'll leave it there and come back to you, Susanna. And I'm hoping now Patrice is on and is able to join us. Patrice, from your lens in Benin, please weigh in on the solutions and the calls to action.
Donc, je vous présente tout le parce qu'il y a une ici qui s'abat sur le Bénin.
I just want to apologize because the sound is muted, but I think there's some event happening in Benin. Yes, there was a power cut.
We're happy you're here. Welcome. We're so glad you're able to still join us beautifully. Go ahead.
Vous joindre à nous.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. I don't know where to begin because I'm not too sure where you're at.
So please just share with us your lens from
Est-ce que vous avez entendu parler des menaces comme l'UPOV?
I heard that you were talking about the threats that are upon us, such as the UPOF. Indeed, in the year 2017 in Benin, our government has registered Benin to UPOF. Sorry, I couldn't hear the date. And we have fought against this during 3 years. The sound is cutting. We have fought this, and in the end, I'm not sure what.
Allô?
Oui, Alan, continue.
Et ce que nous avons fait, nous avons créé un mouvement.
We have constituted a movement steered by the peasant associations, and we also had academia on board with us, and we crafted a common position that we addressed to the National Assembly. So that was our first step in resisting this move. And so the commission responsible for the laws responded to us and invited us. And the commission also in charge of development also heard us and listened to us. And the president of the National Assembly has also listened to us. And therefore they called on to the Minister of Agriculture. And we organized several meetings to have our voices heard. And in the end, on the day they were to vote, when they wanted to vote the law, we strongly voiced our objection to this law that threatened to kill our peasants. And it's only an extremist. Sorry, the sound cut again.
So I'm sorry, the connection is, I'm sorry, family, the connection is so poor. It's difficult for the sound to come through, and it's difficult for our translators as well. So and in the interest of Patrice, we're so grateful for you. We're so grateful for your work. Yeah, I'm wondering if we can shift to Alan. Alan, can you please weigh in and share with us again your call to action? The time is against us. There's so many questions people want to weigh in, but we need to hear from you, Alan, in terms of how you see the challenge and the solutions.
Bonjour.
Hey, hello.
Good morning. I am very happy to be
delighted
with
to
you.
be here with you today. So first of all, I just want to greet you,
First
dear
thing
sisters
is,
and brothers, African
dear,
sisters
is
and
to
brothers,
greet
and
and congratulate you, my dear
greet
African
your
brothers and
commitment.
sisters.
And I'm just going to talk about
So
just the continuity
I
of what the
want to
former
join my
speakers have
voice
been discussing.
to the previous speakers.
So I'm just going to be bouncing off what has been shared previously. So with regards to the RDC, the DRC, we also have to intervene, as other African countries have to. And what's happening today in the Democratic Republic of Congo, I would say it's a complete chaos. I would say it's even a complete ripoff. Because if you think of the peasants, your parents, you have been living off the seeds and you have crafted the sector as it is today. And if you look at the seeds that you find today, and the fact that the seed is seen as something criminal, this is dramatic. And the seeds that are made by our ancestors are grown in the respect of the environment, in the respect of agroecology. This is the only sector where you can find women and men and genes get together, basically. And it really enhances social cohesion within communities. It also helps address gender issues. And it also helps people in the rural communities to generate a bit of an income. But all of this is now being hijacked by multinationals who are trying to control everything because they've got millions of dollars invested. They are the ones influencing the policies within our countries, are really trying to control the agricultural services. And it's also linked to the control of the mining sector. So they're trying to hijack the seed system, which is represented by up to 73% by small peasants. So also I'm going to be sharing with you my little presentation that I have prepared. I'll be sharing it with you in the chat box, as well as a couple of links. But where I have hope is the fact that we could organize such a rally. I just want to say well done to the whole team, because as African that we are, for once, we need to be saying that the seed issue is a problem that we all need to be working towards. This is an issue that calls for us to mobilize. So I'm just saying that this is a first important step, in the meaning that we just could not allow this to happen anymore. It's almost like we're treating Africa as a thing, and we are human beings. And it's so essential that within all these discussions happening, we are associated. According to them and according to their discourse, what they're promoting, the hybrid seeds, the GMO seed is a good seed. This is the scandal. And currently, the seed systems as they are designed or they're being crafted is a criminalization of seeds. The informal seeds are just, they want to take them off the market. So as Africans, we really need to support small peasants so that they are able to control what belongs to them. This is key to food security, food sovereignty. And food sovereignty needs to be resting upon small-scale farmers, on rural households who are using organic compost and who are using indigenous seeds. And also we are what we eat. And if we are what we eat, that means that we need to control our seed sector. And we've noticed today that with the GMOs that we are consuming, we can see that there is a higher risk of cardiovascular diseases, and there is an increase in the occurrence of diabetes. And when you look at it, this is all linked to what we are consuming.
Let's mobilize
friends,
time,
we
because
need
we
to
are lucky
mobilize,
that
because we have the chance today that people are now aware, and others, the multinationals, have the means to impose their will, but we have the intelligence and the ability to
we have
mobilize,
to mobilize, come
call
together
on our
to really make a
governments
pressure on
who
our
represent us
decision
to
makers
change
that
things.
they are the leaders, but the last.
Thank you so much. Yes, our time is against us.
Left?
Thank you very, very much, Patricia. Our time is against
Merci beaucoup à vous aussi.
We thank all of the participants who have offered questions in the Q&A as well as in the chat. We hope that our panelists can just take 1 minute to give a call to action. If there is one thing you want to come out of this rally today, what would it be? So if we can just go around very quickly to each of our panelists, and we're hoping that the technology will not fail us, so that each of you can just briefly say, what is your one call to action for those who are joining us in this rally today? So let's try and see if Alan, can we have Alan first to weigh in on that and see if his system is working? And then we come back to Patrice. We start west and then we go to East Africa. Please, Alan. 1 minute, your one call to action.
Merci beaucoup. Comme action, il est temps de poser des actions en termes de programmes.
In terms of action, what I'm saying is that we need to set up programs, we need to set up projects to stop this ripoff and to enable peasants to benefit from their rights in terms of food sovereignty.
Merci. Thank you so much, Alan. Patrice, to you, your one call to action, 1 minute. What do you want every participant today and those that we can reach beyond today? What do you want them to do that will be quick, decisive, and possible?
Okay. Moi, j'en ai 4, j'en ai 3. Vous allez me dire.
I have 3. I have 3. I'll be very brief. We need to involve all stakeholders, that is to say, governments, the locally elected people, local councillors, as well as traditional chiefs and religious chiefs. We need to introduce in school curricula, we need to introduce the issue of seed. This needs to be introduced in curricula at the level of high schools and university. And number 3, we need to set up public events, such as seed fora, seed exhibition to give visibility to the issue. So I think if we do that, it's really going to result in something. And we also need to promote traditional knowledge. With the focus on these seeds and an understanding of the threat presented by the new laws. And this is how we will move forward.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. David, we go to you next. Your one call to action for all joining us today and beyond today.
Yes, thank you so much. My one call for action is that we need to get out of our cocoons, working on pigeonholes, and build a broad-based coalition of all people who are involved with the seed processes. And then secondly, we should not wait for government to come up with the laws. We also need to document best practices, have public participation forums, develop model laws that we can be able to push through the legal systems. And that is the only way that we can protect, because the government, the transnational corporations will never develop laws for us. There's no colonizer who has made laws to liberate any other person. So when we wait for them to make laws and we react, we will never win. We need to be proactive, build broad-based coalitions, develop model laws, and push them through the systems. Thank you.
Liberate ourselves. Thank you for that, David. Brilliant. Susan, please, your one call to action.
No to industry agriculture, no to corporatization of the farmer-managed seed systems. Celebrate the African smallholder farmers and celebrate our seeds and our cultures, because that is all we have to protect.
Well said, well done. We could have the whole day just on you all, but please, we ask you to join us in thanking our brilliant panelists for their contributions today, for the work that they do, grounding us as we begin to remind ourselves that seed is power. So join us in thanking Patrice Sagbo from Benin, David Otieno from Kenya, Susan from Grain, and Alan from the DR Congo. Thank you so much for your work, for your vision, for your analysis, but also for your
Merci infiniment.
A big thank you.
Thank you so much.
We thank everyone.
Thank you.
Thank